Welcome into episode 5 of the Brierchat podcast. I'm Cam Huffman, Director of Public Relations here at the Greenbrier, and we're joined today by a special guest, Dean Matt, who is on a quest to play pickleball, one of the fastest growing sports in the United States, play pickleball in all 48 lower states, and he's going to do it in the course of,
26 days we'll get it done, yep.
So it's an amazing feat, an unbelievable record, and he's here today. It's day 19, stop 32. Is right here at America's Resort, the Greenbrier. So we wanted to get with Dean and find out a little bit more about himself and a little bit more about this journey. So let's start at the beginning. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and your kind of a background.
I'm from the Chicago area. I grew up in the suburbs out there, went to the University of Illinois, and been a pilot since high school. And lived out there for a long time, lived in a few other places. But then we my wife and I moved to Florida. We thought we'd be golfing. We were playing golf out here during the pandemic, and today is my third time here. But we were golfing, and when we moved to Florida, we moved into a golf course community. We got our little golf cart, we're ready to go, and we're not playing too much golf anymore. We're playing pickleball. I was a big racquetball player up in the Chicago area, but they don't play racquetball down there. So we've fallen in love with pickleball, and this trip is about combining my love of aviation and playing pickleball.
Right, and an interesting trip for sure. And pickleball, it's grown in popularity everywhere. It's definitely grown in popularity here as we've converted some of the indoor tennis courts to pickleball courts because of the demand of people want to play it so much. We give daily pickleball lessons. We have pickleball tournaments on some of the major holidays. So but it's not just here; it's everywhere. What do you think the appeal is to so many about pickleball?
Yeah, so it's as you probably know, it's easy to learn, hard to master, I would say, but any place you go out to a pickleball court, you're going to find somebody to play with. You could play with people that are better than you or not as good as you, and still have a good time. I mean, we played with a 97-year-old woman in Kalamazoo, Michigan, 2 days ago. Our last stop in Sarasota, we're playing against a 93-year-old man that we play with every day out there. His name is Vince, and we've played in a variety of areas so far. We've played on country club courts. We've played at park district courts. You know, everyone's proud of their park district courts, and a lot of the Visitors Bureau have had us out to showcase their courts. We've played at private residences. We've played at just a variety of places. Tomorrow we're going to play at an airport tarmac. We're going to land the plane. They're going to have the court striped out. We'll get our portable net out there and we'll play. As far as who we've played with regular folks like you and me. We've played with a lot of professionals on tour. A lot of them seem to know each other and trash talk each other as we've gone around. We've played with low-income kids in Memphis. We've played with Special Olympics kids and raised a little money for them out in Jonesboro. I played with a gentleman in a wheelchair up in Idaho and had a great time. So it's a sport for everybody, and it's just a lot of fun.
For people who don't really know what pickleball is, how would you explain it? I mean, have you played, you said you played racquetball before. Did you have any tennis background or anything, or was it mainly just racquetball?
Mostly racquetball. I mean, I played tennis in high school a little bit, but mostly racquetball, yeah. So it's pickleball's on about a third of the size of a tennis court, and it's played with a wiffle ball, and despite its wacky, the first time I heard of pickleball was at Dick's Sporting Goods up in Chicago, and as pickleball, I'm thinking, well, what kind of game is this named pickleball, you know? But despite its weird name, it's a great sport. Get some good exercise out there and just have a lot of fun. We're out playing 3 or 4 days a week, or about 2 or 3 hours a day.
Right. Well, that's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about how this idea came about.
So the story I like to tell is my honey-do list got a little bit too long, and I was looking to procrastinate a little bit more. My wife doesn't necessarily like that story. I think the truth is I've been around the country in my plane quite a bit, and even last time I was here, we flew into here. And I just I'm 63, so I have more yesterdays than tomorrow, so I thought I'd have one more hurrah around the country. I don't see myself doing this again. But called Selkirk as a sponsor and said, hey, I would like to go out around the country and showcase, where and who and how pickleball is being played across the country. And Selkirk's a great company. It's a family-run company out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And they said, yeah, this is just a wacky enough idea. We want to be behind it. So we got a couple more sponsors in addition to Selkirk. And put the stops together where I didn't know anybody. I'd call visitors bureaus, and every one of them has said this is a cool idea. It's fun. We want to be part of it. when it came to West Virginia, there was no question where I wanted to go. It was White Sulphur Springs, and Matthew and Steve Sarver and the Greenbrier accommodated us, so we're just so happy to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you for sure. I imagine when you plan an adventure like this, there's a lot of obstacles maybe you don't think of along the way, and when you're flying a plane, you got to deal with weather along the way. Has it gone as you anticipated it? How is the journey going?
Yeah, we had this. We've hit 18 stops in a row, and I got to Salt Lake City, and then I had because there's mountains around there, and there was clouds and ice in the mountains. I had to sit down for 2 days, but we got back on our horse and got back on schedule. And we're out here. We're going to have a little weather tomorrow up in Pennsylvania and Albany, but I think we can muscle through that tomorrow. After that, I think it's clear sailing to get back to Sarasota, Florida. A week from tonight, my wife is waiting for me. So we're going to hit about another 16 states in the next 7 days.
Gotcha. So tell us a little bit about what you're flying.
So I had a Cessna 172 for about 20 years. And 2.5 years ago, I upgraded to a Cessna Turbo 206. It's a 6-passenger airplane. It goes a lot higher than the Cessna 172, so that was a must to get out to the mountains, around the mountains out west. The most mountainous area, you start to get into the mountains a little bit up in Colorado Springs and then Albuquerque, Scottsdale, certainly over the Sierra Nevada mountains to get into Sacramento, and then the Cascades up by Portland and Idaho. Once you get back out of Salt Lake City, it starts to flatten out a little bit before. I used to work in Maryland, and I used to fly my plane from Sarasota to Maryland, Western Maryland. I'd get up there about once a month, and I'm not doing that anymore. But so I'm familiar with this territory. It's about a 5.5-hour flight from Sarasota to Maryland, and used to the mountains around here.
Right. So you said you started in Alabama, right? Is it
Sarasota, and the first stop was Alabama.
Okay.
Our 48th stop will be back Sarasota.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So what, you went sort of out west first?
Yeah, we started in the Mobile Tennis Center, which is the second largest tennis center. Again, everybody's been rolling out the red carpet and very accommodating. Orlando, I think, is the biggest tennis center. We've played in Vicksburg, Mississippi, the Speaker of the House in Mississippi.
Oh, wow.
We asked to play Jim Justice here. He wasn't available, but we're playing some governors coming up, ex-governors actually. In New Hampshire, we're playing John Lynch. In Virginia, we're playing ex-governor and ex-senator George Allen. And, we've played a whole variety of people,
So I know you heard you say earlier you haven't learned a ton about pickleball on the journey, but you've learned a lot about America. What have you learned about America?
So, yeah, it's true. My wife and I just watch a lot of politics during the week, and our brains fry. I won't tell you which channels we watch, but our brains fry, and I'm sure the other side's brains fry too. But when we were out, I haven't talked politics. I haven't seen a show in 2 weeks, and it's just refreshing to know that there's intelligent life on Earth,
right,
in America, and we all want the same thing. We want what's best for our country. Just despite what the shows say, everyone wants the best thing. And when you're out playing pickleball, you're not talking politics. We're just all one people together. So it's refreshing.
So how's the competition been? You have a good record out here so far?
I'm actually so sometimes the towns we go into, sometimes they bring the best they've got,
right?
And sometimes we just play whoever comes along. My record, I think, is about 9 and 16. So I'm definitely south of a winning. I feel like the Cubs, I'm south of a winning record here. So we'll see if we could get that back on track. But it's really not about the record. It's just about showcasing the facilities and people that play pickleball.
Well, speaking of the facilities, you said you made several visits here. Tell me what you liked about the Greenbrier. What made you want to come back?
Well, the first time I was here was on a golf trip with the guys, probably in the late 80s or early 90s, and I remember the sign, "It's sleepy time down south." We've got a picture of it. 20 years later, my wife and I come back, and this is probably 3 or 4 years, 3 years ago, I guess. Sign's still there, "Sleepy time down south." There's very few iconic resorts like the Greenbrier. You have the Broadmoor maybe out in Colorado Springs. You got a couple of nice hotels out in French Lick, Indiana. Maybe the Breakers down in Miami. But this is just as good as it gets for me. So I'm just so happy to be back here.
Absolutely. And this stadium, you said your first visit here wasn't here. It's a 2,500 seat stadium, center court at Creekside, built in 2015, but great place to play tonight for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to break it in. I can only imagine what this place is like when you have the tennis guys here.
Yeah, it's a pretty special environment, but we won't hold you up any longer. We know we want you to get your match in, and we want you to be able to enjoy the Greenbrier. I know it's a short stay, so we'll we'll wrap this up and get you on the court and get you back up to the hotel. But we appreciate you joining us.
Appreciate your time and your hospitality. Thank
Absolutely. And good luck on the rest of the journey.
you. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Brierchat podcast. We'll see you at America's Resort.